Carl and Lou here from Games, Brains and Headbanging Life, gbhbill.com for sure. And we've done love. It is time for the hate. 10 things we hate about the Poltergeist film series. That is the original trilogy and the remake included. 10 things I hate, 10 things you hate. I started the love, so you by all means can start the hate.
Yeah, okay, so my first one was the idea of a curse. So there has been obviously the Poltergeist
Oh,
film
the curse, right,
so
yeah.
around the films, people that have died and sort of tragic events that happen around the film of these films.
Yep.
And I always feel, I'm pretty sure the families involved would hate for their loved ones' deaths to be kind of trivialised and made part of a curse. I know there's been a documentary about it and it's always put, when you say Poltergeist, oh, there's a curse. I feel like it's a little bit cheapening people's deaths that just genuinely happened coincidentally around the filming of a film and cheapening it with a curse.
Yeah, I find it confusing as well when you look into the curse, as it were, and you're like, oh wait, you're attaching a death of someone who died 4 years after the film.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
How is that? That's the issues around Heather O'Rourke and Dominic Dunn. That's the two, but like that does not make a curse. It's just unlucky, you know. I think it's taken some serious liberty. It's like people almost want it to be something like that. You know?
And it's like, no, like, just
tragicness.
Yeah, it's tragic events
Yeah.
around a film. So, yeah, I do not appreciate that.
Oh, fair. Okay. This is going to be heavily weighted towards the latter end of this series. I don't think I've got anything from the original in this. So I'm going to start with the second film. And it is simply put, whereas the first film's effects have held up for the most part, the second really haven't. Oh, some of the effects in Poltergeist 2, the other side, are horrendous.
Yeah.
Horrendous. It's
a big jump as well because we watched them
we watched them directly
back to
afterwards,
back.
yeah.
And it's like, ooh.
And it's like, wait, you're after the fact. And it's like, oh, okay, so this was less money, clearly. Clearly it was less money, but yeah, they really haven't held up. I mean, you think about the other side part, particularly how pants that looks. Compared to some of those just the smoke that, you know, part in the sweat lodge and stuff like that, or Henry Cain when he walks through someone, like, oh man, these aren't holding up, these don't look good at all.
My one's not doubling up, but it's still from the same film. So the two almost separate stories in Poltergeist 2.
Fair.
So the sweat lodge and the main house, and you obviously got Henry Cain, so almost like three separate chunks of story coming together. I feel like sometimes it can become overly complex, that he didn't give enough of a time to breathe, and you could have had elements of the sweat lodgy part in the rest of it.
Yeah, do you know that this film was heavily edited?
No, I do. No.
It was heavily edited. This was a cut apart movie. It should have had a lot more. I mean, one of the most famous parts that were cut out of it is Tangina's face off with Henry Cain at the house. That was cut. And that's the sort of shit you want left in. Yeah. Problem is, this is already quite a long movie, and it's like, whoa, okay, how much was missing? You know, it's really difficult because, you know, it's a sequel. It can't just do the same beats. I know what you're saying, like the separate stories. The only thing that really connects them is this overarching Poltergeist.
Yeah.
And beyond, and sometimes it does kind of feel like rushed and like, oh, you just got to that resolution. Yeah. Talking of rush, though, the final battle in Poltergeist 2 is that it? Yeah. And the fact that at the end, Taylor turns around and says to like Craig Nelson's father character, "Oh, what a battle!" And we were both like, "What? What?" They literally go to the other side. A monster turns up. Caroline gets knocked away. She comes back afterwards. Taylor puts a spear in through the fire. They stab the creature. It's less than a minute, and you're like, "What?"
We've had bigger struggles getting home from a gig at some point.
Yeah, getting out of a venue. I mean, what?
People.
It's so anticlimactic. It's so anticlimactic. It's unbelievable. Yeah, it's a real downer on a film that is solid most of the way through, and then you just kind of get to there like, is that it? And then the fact that it has come out and you're like, ha ha ha, and then you get in a car and have that joke about like being left behind. And of course, as Nick did famously here, is the horrendous editing job, which removes Tangina from the entire scene at the end, even though she was there with them when they first went there. Yeah, it's a mess.
Yeah, we doubled up on that one. Easy finish to Poltergeist 2, no struggle. Just pop into the other side and get everyone back.
Yeah,
easy.
Yeah, they even do a fucking fake out thing. Well, we lost Carol Ann, and then she's brought back by the mother and all that. You know, it's like, it's so easy. Yeah, you know. The third film then. Turning Cain into a super powerful ghost villain laughs manically all the time and can apparently manipulate so many things and people in the third film. It is nonsense. From what his power was in the second film to what his power is in the third film, what on earth is happening? Crazy.
I said that the character was different actor.
Different actor trying to make a look, different voice. But the laughing, that's what really bugged me. It was like, oh, okay, this is not... Now you're just like, this is a villain.
Yeah. Because his power in the second one was...
limited.
The creepiness. Just from a general conversation he has with the dad was like...
He was trying to get... in the second one, his goal was to split apart the family, to weaken the family unit, because love and all that. Then he could separate Carol Ann. It's kind of what they did in the first about separating Carol Ann. That's what this one. He's manipulating an entire fucking skyscraper to freeze over, to do mirror magic, to take over the... Like, how? What? How? What? It's not good. But the laughing is the biggest thing I took from that. Yeah.
I've gone to, for my next one, I've gone to the Poltergeist remake.
Okay.
What inconsistent dad. So he's caring but distracted, and he's not as compelling as like Craig T. Nelson.
Yep.
So like you want to enjoy his character, but sometimes he's there but he's distracted, and sometimes just certain things I'm watching him going, I wanted to just be more caring, a bit more sort of just like, oh, just get on with it. Like the young boy, weren't it? It was a bit, no, just get on with it. Go sleep in the attic room on your own.
Yep.
Cheers, Dad. New house, a creepy old room. We always said that was a bit odd.
Yeah, it's a real shame because the actor in question is wonderful.
Yeah.
He's done some wonderful work. I don't think he's bad in this.
No.
I think they got confused. This was one of my later ones, but I'm going to tie it in here about a confusing where they don't really know what to do with him. They want to keep him grounded like every man, but then the first portion of this movie is set around what appears to be money woes.
Yeah.
Money woes, to the point where we have a scene where he gets a lot of cards declined while shopping, overspends, has a bit of tension with his wife about overspending on silly stuff like a drone and all that. That seems like it might be important. Fuck me, that is forgotten about.
Yeah.
Completely and utterly forgotten about in the latter portion of the movie. It's irrelevant to the plot. It's irrelevant to the plot.
Yeah, and if you're, and like the whole idea of them moving, a couple of throwaway lines about why they're moving. Yep. Which happens in other films of like, oh, we've had to downsize, like in Sinister and things like that. They always mention they have to go to smaller houses and things like that. It sets it up.
This is the only house we can afford. We've sunken our money to this. But at the end of the fucking film, they've left the house and gone around trying to find a new one. And apparently they throw away line that he's got a new job. And it's like, what is going on?
Yeah.
It's such a
waste of a scene as well.
Yeah, it's filler. It's filler. And it's like, and here, it's like, this is where you get his quality acting, is because you feel his awkwardness and embarrassment with the cards being declined in the shop. Yeah. That's quality acting. But it amounts to nothing except to bring in a drone that they can use later on.
We can't have that. You can't be that short for money. They're hiring that Irish fella to come in and do the medium, didn't they? So like,
I think he comes in for free. I doubt he's been hired. Any part of with the other lot, the paranormal investigator lot.
University lot.
But yeah, fair point. Overall, like, I think we can both put them both together here. Both of these issues, it's a waste of characters where you just kind of like you've made them too ordinary, and then you've added these nuances that were supposed to be like, oh, okay, and then you're like, nah, forget all that. Ghosts, you know.
You could have had a scene with him, another family scene, where the money could have come up during the family scene rather than the wasted scene in the shop.
Make it the tension between the family. That's how they're able to divide and get the kid. By him and his wife being at loggerheads. But he never even really... She's just like, oh, can we really afford that and all that? But then the next scene, they're getting down to have sex in the bed. Yeah. You know, it's like, there's not enough there to really buy into it. Yeah. No, I know, I agree. All right. So, like, my next one is linked into that kind of, like, almost a wasted scene. So, Poltergeist 3, the overly long teenagers get into the swimming pool scene. Oh, yeah.
There was so much involved in just getting them to the swimming pool.
That's long, isn't it?
You know, it's a long scene going, okay, they're sneaking beers, they're trying to get... That could have been done a lot quicker. It's
a good 10 minutes because they're sneaking in to get the food and the drinks, then they're trying to distract the security. Yeah. Oh, yeah, we're going to put a tape on and it's going to be looping and all that. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I found it a waste of time.
Sticking with the third film as you touched upon it, probably the moment where I, younger and as an adult, went, ha, this film's dumb. Henry Kane. Is a scene in the car park where snow, the fakest snow you'll ever see, doesn't move off the cars, that kind of thing. He starts to manipulate cars to try and run over the characters. Yeah. And then you see he's behind the wheel in one of them. He's literally behind the wheel of a car because they're like, what do you want? And he's like, you, pointing through the hole. And you see him driving a fucking car. It crashes and you see him behind it. And you're like, oh my God, you've made it, this is a joke, right? Like, wow, how stupid was that? Why would you put him behind the wheel? You could have his you could have the cars driving on their own and hear his disembodied voice. Yeah. But the fact you physically see him... Oh, that's scary. That is scary shit.
Liberties with people, don't they? So, linking into that third film where I think we had it quite a lot, if I hear the name Carol Ann one more time... So I think number 3 was particularly
the worst
bad for it. Yeah, which is linking on what you were saying about number 3. But, it's awful.
Yep.
And once you notice it, that's it. It's ruined because every time I keep saying it, like, we know her name. Like, do you have to keep repeating it? It's really bad.
Yeah, I have it as well. The third film, I think the count was something like 136 times, wasn't it said? Something like that. We looked it up and it's on IMDb, wasn't it?
It's like a trivia
thing. Carol Ann's name is said 130 odd times in the third film. And it really is. The scene that I will always stick with me is when they rescue the daughter, and she's on the bed and they're trying to calm her down, and her only word she speaks for literally 3 minutes is Carol Ann over and over again. Carol Ann, Carol Ann, Carol Ann. You know, oh my goodness me, it is ridiculous. Yeah. It starts to make you dislike Carol Ann. You know, honestly, of course I have it as well. Incessant. Yeah.
Just too much.
Yep.
So your one, that was my one.
We doubled up.
Oh, we doubled up. Yeah. So the remake, I didn't think there was no connection to the house. I know they had to move the story on, but could you not have had, I don't know, called it New Cuesta Verde? Like, could you have not have called it
interesting.
that? Or like New Verde, or
just something with a little hint towards the original.
Yeah,
okay.
I felt like a little bit like, okay, I know you don't want to be like calling it in the same place because obviously that place is pretty much abandoned, and probably torn down, but just a little, maybe call it New Cuesta Verde or something to link it would have been nice, you know?
Okay, all right, fine, no worries. I think I've got my last one for the third film. So I'm going to do it, yep. The final shot of the third film. So we've just done this ending scene, right, where Tangina has led Kane into the light and Carol Ann is back and everyone's happy. Yeah. You know, that kind of thing. The film then goes to a wide shot of the building, and for reasons that confuse the fuck out of me, like, what? Lightning strikes and then you hear Kane laughing. And you're like, what? Wait, what?
Yeah.
It's so cheesy, it's so stupid, but also it doesn't make sense in the ending. Didn't we just effectively end the story?
Chapter,
and what were you like? Oh no, we're scared to finish it in case we want to do a fourth film. So let's throw something in that suggests he may not be gone completely. But then why? What? The whole point was to go into the.
If you've got a strong enough film, you can come back without
easily
a cheap throwaway scene at the end of the third one.
Easily, it's so stupid, and it just adds that level of extra. Like, oh, this is so bad. Yeah.
Why'd you have to do that?
Yep.
So I did have one that I kind of had to backtrack on a little bit. So the laziness in plot sometimes, like the jammed in psychic stuff in the second film.
Okay.
And the whole family referencing sometimes, the whole family's psychic on the mum's side.
Yep.
Wasn't mentioned before, just kind of shoved in there a bit too quick.
Yep.
Originally we spoke about not mentioning Dana in the second film. But then I've learned that they did that out of respect for Dominic Dunn's family.
Yep.
So they didn't want to just put her name in there or have her made a mention, and they just thought it was more respectful to not mention her at all. So I'm kind of, there is sometimes lazy plots, but I feel like I can kind of untick that one a little bit.
I get what you're saying. The reasons are perfectly valid. Yeah. It's a really difficult one. I agree with you. In fact, I have it as well. And I get it completely. It's a really difficult angle. So if you don't know, Dominic Dunn was murdered by her then boyfriend or ex-boyfriend at the time. So she's basically not only is she not in the second film, she's not even mentioned.
She's not at college, she's not away, she's just not.
This is the problem is then I don't think they should have made the movie. And the reason being is because she was an integral part of that family, and the second film is all about family. It's all they talk about is the family bond and the love of each other and all that. And it's like you're asking us to ignore characters, you know, a character that existed. And I don't know if that was the right answer. I don't know if it would have been more respectful to just have a throwaway line where she's at college.
Yeah.
Character. She's not the person. It's the character.
But then they chose to make that.
It's a very difficult one. I really do get it. I get it, and it's hard for me to say. But ultimately, as a movie, where we're looking at the characters and as a form of entertainment. You're asking us in that film to believe in a family bond while pretending she doesn't even exist anymore. That's a real that's a problem with the film. Then it becomes, and it makes you question: should you have even gone through with it?
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not saying recast or anything like that. I'm not saying she should even really be mentioned. I'm saying in a throwaway line that can be just said as part of a dialogue. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very difficult. Very difficult. Yeah.
So I have two more.
In fact, you know, I'm going to go on in further than this. Is it arguably not more respectful to honour her name by not pretending, like, why pretend she doesn't exist?
Yeah, that's another point.
Yeah, by actually honouring her. You know? That you know, she's an important part of this family. She was part of the Freeling family. We honour her by acknowledging her existence. By pretending she doesn't exist, that's arguably worse, now that I think about it.
Yeah.
Maybe, you know, it's a difficult one. You let us know what you think in the comments about that. Yeah, carry on, sorry.
So, my next one. Mm-hmm. I thought that film's could have been darker and slightly more horror. Sometimes there isn't enough horror for me. Sometimes I felt like a little bit too saccharine and disjointed with the horror. So
disputable.
I feel like I know you needed like the contrast, but I feel like sometimes you could have been just gone a bit further with it.
I'm not gonna sit here and say you know you're wrong for putting it in. I disagree. Okay. I disagree. I think the horror when it comes is more impactful because it's not constant. But okay. But what I will agree with you in that the remake. PG, which stands for parental guidance. I mean, straight away you're like, well, this is gonna be fucking scary, and it's not. It's horror in the sense that here's CGI things that we think will scare you, but ultimately we're saying, hey, it's all right for the kids as well. Parental guidance. That's what PG stands for in the UK. That is a miss. That's a miss straight away, and it's you know what? There's a scene in it that will make you just throw your hands up and like, well, this is why, and it's obviously the part where instead of face ripping. The father in the remake has worms, black ooze and worms coming from his face in a sort of hallucination. We don't see that. Yeah. We see the reflection in the tap. Yeah.
And that's like, they kind of went down that route of, okay, we'll just keep it contained to this.
Absolutely absurd. Yeah. They should have gone the other way. They really wanted to be different, go the other way and go, fuck, we're going to make this a bloody movie.
Horrific.
Yeah, we're going to make you fucking remember us for this reason.
Because the lighting on it had that kind of muted, kind of darker tone to it. So you could have gone with that. And like you showed us the other side a bit more in depth. You could have gone a lot further with that.
Of course you could. But they wanted to appeal to everyone. And by doing that, you appeal to no one.
And use a lot of
famously, you know?
That, yeah.
Yeah. One more.
Yeah, I've got one more.
Yep.
And you still one?
Yep, cool.
Yep, okay. So my last one is, I don't think this first one needed two sets of mediums. I mean, I feel like there's two, isn't there? There's the group in the first film.
There's only one medium. Tangina. Tangina's the only medium. The others are paranormal investigators.
Yeah, I feel like there's two groups. I feel like I'm just wasting time getting to know them and then her. I feel like I don't think it needed the...
This is some controversial stuff that I can't believe you'd pull that one out. I think the paranormal group are brilliant. It's sort of people who come in first to check it out and see if there's any validity. It's the same in the remake, do the same thing. It's all about validity. Check it out. They're purposely going out of their way to try and find how it couldn't be that. Only then does someone with Tangina's level come in.
No, I just felt a little bit time wasting getting to know both groups, but
fair dues.
That was my opinion on it.
Of course, of course, absolutely. And the last one, we kind of touched upon it a little bit throughout, but I kind of want to pick on a specific character, and I know it's a bit mean, but what are you going to do? So the blandness of the characters in the remake, we have touched upon. They're just not memorable. I struggle to remember their names.
Same.
You know, I struggle to remember their names compared to the iconic original lot. And by making them ordinary people, you've kind of made them too ordinary, and it's resulted in very little personality. But nowhere is that more noticeable for me than with the actual star. Because here's the thing, the young girl who is basically playing Carol Ann's character is not that important to the plot. The actual kind of important character is Griffin, who's the young boy. Now, the boy does the best he can. But fuck me, is he bland?
Yeah.
Fuck me, is he bland? And he really is. They give him nothing except he's scared of things. And that's the only thing they've given him. He's scared of things. But then later on they're like, oh, that fear of things is the reason why he goes to the other side. And it's like, whoa! That is a big jump from going, I'm scared of everything. I feel guilty about my sister disappearing. I'm going to where ghosts are. Like, it's like, oh, okay. And I don't really get behind him. you know?
No.
But I think that's a flaw in the movie overall.
Definitely, yeah.
Now, normally we would end here, but I think I put an 11th one.
Okay.
Because we haven't mentioned it at all. And it's kind of just an extra one, and it's one that you would double up with as well, 100% sure. And it's simply put, Heather O'Rourke died at age 12, which is just awful. But her legacy lives on through this character.
There's always got to be hopefully some sort of comfort for a family in that. Of like you say Poltergeist and you picture her, how cute she was, and
how iconic.
Yeah.
She had delivered one of the most iconic horror movie lines in there here. We all know it. We all know who says it. We hear the voice. That is transcended pop culture. Yeah. That is a legacy that's been left behind.
Yeah.
And that's, it's terrible. I hate the fact that she died at age 12.
Definitely.
There you go. Let us know some of yours in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and Tumblr. Go to Patreon and help us out over there. That's patreon.com/gbhbl, as well as Big Cartel, where you can find some of our merchandise. We have a podcast running on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. And of course, if you like this video, do us a favour, hit the subscribe button and help the channel grow. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?